The first bark echoed like a gunshot through the empty halls of Ridgewood Elementary. It was sharp, urgent, not the kind of bark that signaled playfulness or even mild concern. This was different. It was a warning. Max, the school's beloved golden retriever and part-time therapy dog, had never barked like that before. He'd been with the school for nearly 5 years, offering comfort to anxious children, companionship to teachers during long grading nights, and warmth to anyone in need. But that morning, something had stirred him. Something invisible, yet dangerous. It all started on a Tuesday. The air was unusually thick, and many of the students had been complaining of headaches. Nurse Carla had already seen 7 kids by 10 a.m., all with the same symptoms: nausea, dizziness, fatigue. She chalked it up to a bug going around. But when Mr. Holland, the science teacher, collapsed during his third period class, concern turned into alarm. Principal Jenkins, a stern but fair man with a soft spot for animals, was making his way to the nurse's office to check on Mr. Holland when Max blocked the hallway, standing rigid, barking furiously at the water fountain beside the teacher's lounge. Max's hackles were raised, his nose twitching as he growled, not moving an inch. "Max, what's wrong, boy?" Jenkins asked, trying to push past. Max barked again, louder, more desperate, and then did something strange. He pawed at the fountain, whining, then turned and ran toward the kitchen, barking once more before turning back to see if Jenkins would follow. It was that moment that saved hundreds of lives. Out of curiosity and a growing sense of dread, Jenkins followed Max to the kitchen. The dog barked again at the sink, then at the walk-in cooler, and then sat, ears perked, staring at the pipes running along the ceiling. That same afternoon, Jenkins ordered the building evacuated. Parents were confused, children were frightened, and the faculty had no answers. But Max barked every time someone neared the water fountains, and Jenkins trusted the dog more than any protocol. A full investigation was launched. Health inspectors, environmental engineers, and even the city's water safety officials were brought in. Within 2 days, the truth surfaced. The school's underground water lines, which hadn't been replaced in over 40 years, had corroded, leaching dangerous levels of lead and other contaminants into the drinking water. But it wasn't just aging pipes. A nearby construction site had inadvertently ruptured a wastewater line 2 weeks prior, contaminating Ridgewood's water supply without detection. The revelation hit the town like a lightning bolt. Parents were furious. How could something so dangerous go unnoticed for so long? Lawsuits loomed, political pressure mounted, and the school board faced harsh scrutiny. But amid the chaos, Max became a hero. News spread quickly. National outlets picked up the story. Dog's bark saves school from toxic water crisis. Ridgewood Elementary's quiet golden retriever had become a symbol of instinct, loyalty, and unexpected salvation. But it wasn't just the physical health of the students that had been at risk, it was their trust. Children who once found safety in the school were now afraid. The challenge became rebuilding that trust. The faculty came together in ways no one expected. Jenkins led a community forum, where he acknowledged the system's failure but also vowed change. He started by hiring an environmental safety officer full-time for the district. Then he launched a Clean Start program, partnering with engineers, parents, and even the students, to completely overhaul the school's infrastructure, including installing advanced water filtration systems and lead detection sensors. Meanwhile, Max remained a steady presence. Children who had been too afraid to return were encouraged by the idea that Max still walked the halls, still kept watch, still cared. One student, in particular, stood out. 10-year-old Ellie had developed anxiety after the incident. Once bubbly and outgoing, she became withdrawn. She stopped drinking water at school altogether, and even refused to use the bathroom. Her grades plummeted. Teachers grew concerned. One day, Jenkins asked her parents if Ellie could have some one-on-one time with Max. In the quiet library, Ellie sat on the floor, unsure. Max lay beside her, resting his head on her leg. She began to cry, quietly at first, then sobs shook her tiny frame. "Why didn't anyone notice?" she whispered. "We're just kids." Max didn't answer, of course. But he nudged her gently with his nose, licked her hand, and stayed. It was the beginning of her healing. Ellie later wrote a letter to the local paper, titled, "Why I Trust Max More Than Adults." It went viral, and not because it was scathing, quite the opposite. It ended with a powerful message. Max listened when no one else did. But now, we all have to be like Max, pay attention, speak up, and care. Not just about rules, but about people. The town changed after that. The school district invested in environmental education. Children learned about water quality, about how to test for lead, and most importantly, about using their voices to demand safety and truth. Years passed, but the story lived on. Max, already old when the incident occurred, passed away 2 years later. His picture still hangs in Ridgewood Elementary's front hallway, beside a plaque that reads, "Max, the dog who barked. The hero who listened." Every year, on the anniversary of the discovery, students gather at the fountain, now replaced and monitored, and take turns sharing stories about how Max inspired them. Teachers use the day to talk about courage, integrity, and vigilance. Because it wasn't just about one dog or one bark. It was about the moment a community realized that sometimes, the greatest dangers are the ones we can't see, and that the greatest heroes are the ones who act anyway. The story of Ridgewood became more than a cautionary tale. It became a reminder: listen, watch, care, because someone's health, someone's life, might depend on your attention. And sometimes, it takes a bark to make us hear what we've been ignoring all along.